Yo, how's it going? Connor again with another video. Thank you so much for clicking on the video that you saw, which is this one. Appreciate you spending time with me. You're after information. I'm going to make sure that your time is well spent with me today. So look, I have three things I want to talk about. The first one is, are you hypnotized? Are you hypnotized? What the fuck are you talking about, Connor? What are you going to talk about now? It's going to make sense, okay? There's a book called There's a book called Cybernetics by a man called Maxwell Maltz. Now, I'm going to put some context to the story and it's going to make sense as we go along. Now, this guy back in the 60s was a plastic surgeon. And what he did, he wrote the book on self-image psychology because he discovered that when he removed a physical feature from someone or changed something, he may have removed a scar or changed, another physical part of this person. And he discovered that a mental change took place in the person. Not just a physical one. They would act differently, they would speak differently, they would view themselves in a completely different light, just as a result of them viewing themselves different physically. Now, he questioned this and he studied it and he wrote a book on it called Cybernetics. Now, to talk about hypnotized, he actually tells a story. Now, this man came to him one day and said, Maxwell, I need your help. I've got a large lower lip. I'm really self-conscious about it, but more importantly, my girlfriend refuses to marry me unless I have a normal looking lower lip. She says, I like spending time with you, I enjoy you, I love you, but it's just the lower lip. I refuse to marry you until with a lip like that, basically. Nice person, right? So he, the surgeon, Maxwell Maltz, goes, all right, I'll help you. I'll help you on one condition. And he goes, well, what condition? No, he says, I'll help you if you tell your girlfriend that you spent all of your money, everything you have, on this surgery. And he's like, all right, okay, fine, I'll tell her. All right, so they agree. The surgery goes ahead. It's successful. Successful lump is removed from the lower lip, and he now looks normal. Now he proudly exhibits this to his girlfriend. He says, "Babe, look at me now." And she's like, "Wow, I spent all of my money on this so that I could get to marry you. Now let's get married." Now he's expecting, how would you be in this situation? You'd be expecting a marvelous, grandiose, appreciative reaction. But instead, he's greeted with anger. She's furious at him. And she says, she curses him. She even says, I never really loved you. Now he is heartbroken. And just to top it all off, she says, I'm going to put a spell on you. You're like, what? All right, now, some context to this is, she says, I'm going to put a voodoo spell on you. Now, these guys, both of them were brought up in the West Indies and the islands in the West Indies where superstition and voodoos and all kind of weird stuff like that is taken really seriously. All right, so he's a little bit kind of freaked out, but he doesn't really think too much of it. He just goes on with his life as normal for next few days. A couple of days pass and he notices there's a lump forming on the inside of my lip. And it starts to really hurt as well. And he talks to his friend about it. And his friend says, go and see Dr. Smith. All right, he knows a lot about voodoos and a lot about, just go and see him. He knows what he's talking about. Goes and sees him. And this guy says, I'm afraid you've contracted the voodoo spell, the African bug, which is meant to suck the strength and vitality out of you. And this guy starts freaking out. He starts looking for signs. He goes home and he's looking in the mirror. He's looking. And what happens is, over the next few weeks, he puts on, he loses 30 pounds. He loses his appetite. He sunken cheeks. He's looking old, weak and withered. He loses his strength. He goes and sees the Dr. Maxwell Maltz again and says, I've got this problem. I don't know what to do about it. Now, they barely recognized him when he went back into that office, and it's described in the book that this man, Mr. Russell, was actually originally a proud-looking man. He was a 6'1" man, athlete built. He looked, he had vigor. All right, he animated vigor and strength about him, and now it's completely different. You're looking at a man who looks like he's at least a decade older. It looks horrible, weak, withered, as I described. And he goes, okay, look, let me remove this thing from the inside of your lip and let's just stop this, all right? And Maxwell Maltz, he's not a dumb guy, right? He knows what's going on here. They remove the bug and the lump on the inside of the lip, and he shows it to him and says, this is nothing but scar tissue from the surgery I did in your lower lip. There's no African bug, there's no voodoo spell. And the change instantly happened in him. It was almost as if he regained his strength there and then. There was an immediate change in his eyes, you could see it. Went home, and weeks later he actually sent pictures to Maxwell Maltz thanking him and saying he went back and married his childhood sweetheart. His life had just improved in so many different ways. Now, the point here is he hypnotized himself. He was hypnotized by a false belief that had entered his subconscious mind. He emotionally involved in that. He became emotionally involved in that belief, and it affected him, and it became true for his mind. It wasn't true objectively, but it became true for him when he became emotionally involved in it. He literally hypnotized himself into believing he was under the voodoo spell of this psychopath girl who used him for nothing but money. So my question to you now is, how many areas in your life do you think that you could be hypnotized? What other areas are we emotionally involved in? You know, who says that we can't be confident, we can't attract riches, we can't go up and speak to that girl, whatever it is? Who says that? You say that? Did they say that? Did your parents say that to you? What makes this true? The only thing that makes it true is you believing in it. When you're investing emotionally into it, you're programming your mind, your body and nervous system to act in accordance with the belief that you're emotionally involved in. Now, that's number one, hypnotize. Number two is mental rehearsal. Now, mental rehearsal is visualizing. It's really what it is. There's another story told in the book about this, where they went to a psychiatric ward, and they got something like 40 patients. And these people all have mental illnesses, schizophrenics. All these people are just, they're a little bit kind of round the bend. No offense to any people that might have something now. But these guys were really messed up. Probably more so than you if you're just watching this, I might say. So what they did, and they went to these people and said, take this personality test. All right, and we want you to take it twice. Now, the first time, just take it as you would normally. Just answer it normally as you would now. The second time, we want you to pretend you are a well-adjusted person. All right, pretend that there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have any mental illness. You are a well-rounded person. And so they take the test. The first time, the results are just kind of as expected. You know, the results come back and they didn't change at all. The second time they took the test, there was a 75% increase, positive increase in the results. All right, it was almost as if none of them had. Some of them didn't even show any signs of mental illness. This leads us to believe that the only reason they could have achieved that, the only way they could pretend to be a well-adjusted person, is if they actually visualize themselves in their own mind, mentally rehearsed being a well-adjusted person. Now, I'm not disregarding any people here that might have a mental illness. I'm not saying that anyone you know, I'm not my heart with them. All right, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I am saying this does illustrate the power of mental rehearsal. It really does, because if you just visualize something again, you're programming that nervous system, that body of yours, that beautiful subconscious mind, that all-powerful subconscious mind of yours, to act in accordance with the vision. It has to come true. It's like the seed of an acorn. There's a pattern plan, a pattern plan within the acorn to become an oak tree. And no matter what environment you place it in, it must eventually become that acorn. Now, environment exposure has a massive impact on us, okay? So if the acorn's not put in soil, it's not watered, it's not going to become an oak tree. It's not going to become anything. It's not going to grow into anything. The point is, there's a program in all of us, all right? And I'm not saying that destiny, I'm not saying that your life is predetermined, but I am saying that your ability to get in touch with your heart desire and mentally rehearse yourself as the person that you wish to be is really predicated on your understanding of this subject and your desire to really want to be happy. Because the whole point of this video is to tell you that the power is within you. The power is really within you. And when you realize this and you get used to visualizing and you mental rehearse, you meditate and you do these things, and you realize that nothing outside of you has any control over who you choose to be in your life. It's only what you choose to let in you suddenly, just with that understanding, you gain vigor, you gain confidence, because now you realize the keys are in your hand. The keys are in your hand now. So number 3 is subliminal messages. And subliminal messages, really, they back up the other two. Now, it's just another way to immerse your mind with the thoughts that you want. So if you were to go on and play health messages to yourself, you're trying to get a lean physique, a strong physique. You buy a health subliminal, and that subliminal is going to basically immerse your mind in the area of health, fitness, all those things, and it's going to inject you with amazing beliefs. And they actually did studies on this too with subliminals, and they discovered that when they did, so they took patients in a hospital, put them under anesthetic, get your words out, anesthetic, which basically makes you sedated, go to sleep, they operate and you can't feel anything. And what they did to these people is they put headphones in them, and they played 2 words to them, and they would play like, grief and, prolong. And they'd play these 2 words over and over again until the surgery was over. And then they'd go, hey, surgery went well, just as planned, really successful. Oh, by the way, can you just fill in these sentences for us? And it would be the words that were playing in the subliminal, half finished. So there are many variations of words that could be put instead of those, the 2 words that were played on repeat. And there's many words they could have picked. Consistently, the words that were played through the headphones were picked to finish the sentence. Now, this illustrates the power of subliminal messaging here, because when you play the words that you want, all right, because when you, like I say, you emotionally invest in thoughts, those thoughts become your beliefs. Your belief, of course, forms the lens through which you view the world and what you believe about yourself, your life, other people, and you act accordingly. And emotions stir your body into action, which are formed through investing in the thoughts for an extended period of time. So you want positive thoughts in there, right? Like you want thoughts to do with wealth, abundance, prosperity, love, happiness, contentment, relaxation. All of these things are available within us when we choose to immerse ourselves in the correct information. So what do we have here? We've got number 1, which is, are you hypnotized? I think it's pretty clear from the stories that I've told and the social proof that I've provided that, yeah, everyone is hypnotized to some degree. Everyone, some more than others, but pretty much in some area, there is usually fear. And that comes from a negative belief that is holding you back from achieving, breaking through that wall and getting what you want. Number 2 is mental rehearsal. The second you visualize something, you set up emotions in you because you are forced to then, your attention is invested into a thought, into an image. All right, and we are spiritual beings. We act on what we believe to be true and what we visualize in our mind. And number 3 is subliminal messages. Subliminal messages really support the other 2 massively through immersing your mind with the correct information and just the high vibration messages that you want. We can begin to cause a emotional shift in our perception of ourselves and of life. So amazing content I've shared with you today. I hope it helps. I hope you go back and practice it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.